This episode of Soldier Knows Best is brought to you by Audible. Hey, what's up guys, Soldier Knows Best here. This is my review of the brand new iPad. I'm going to cover everything from the design, the hardware, the cameras, the software, what is in this new iPad, and also what is missing from it. Then I'm going to give you my overall opinion about this new tablet. But first, I'm going to talk about the design and the hardware. Now, at first glance, you will not be able to tell whether this is the iPad 2 or the brand new iPad. The design is practically the same. There's very, very minor differences there. But the new iPad does weigh a little bit more, but it's not going to affect your experience at all. But when you hit that power button, you will notice the big difference in this new iPad, and that is the new Retina Display. It still is 9.7 inches, but it has a resolution now that's bumped up to 2048 by 1536. It's boasting 3.1 million pixels. So what you're going to get with this new display? Well, basically everything is going to look better. Now, Apple really boasts that the text, it looks very sharp and clear, which I can say that is true. So if you're all going to be reading books, reading textbooks, or reading newspapers, anything like that on there, it will enhance your experience as far as that. And just the colors overall are better. The color saturation is better. And just when you put pictures and video on this thing, things just look very, very accurate compared to the iPad 2, which I had no problem with. But when you do stack both of them side by side, you will see a clear difference here as I'm showing you between the two tablets there. Now, with that being said, it still isn't as big as a leap as it was coming from the 3GS to the iPhone 4's Retina display, but nonetheless, you still will get an improved viewing experience when you're looking at pictures and photos and games and movies and different things like that. Now, so for what's going on the inside of this new iPad, you will find that the RAM is upgraded from 512 megabytes to a full 1 gigabyte of RAM. And also the big new thing is that it does now feature the dual-core A5X processor that's capable of quad-core graphics. So what this means is that in my test, the day-to-day use of the iPad as far as normal things, sliding through your home screens, opening up applications, multitasking, different things like that, you will not see a difference with this new processor. But what it does is it still keeps the same performance on pace with the iPad 2, which wasn't bad at all. But it still is now sporting this brand new Retina display, which definitely takes a lot more juice and power, and also does provide for better gaming and better graphics. Now, jumping over to battery life, Apple claims you'll still be able to get about 10 hours of normal use, and if you're going to be using 4G LTE, that will drop down to about 9 hours. And in my test for the past week or so, I would say that those battery claims are pretty accurate. Now, I also must let you know that some users are reporting that in the bottom left-hand corner of their new iPads, it's warming up more than normal. And this is more than likely due to the battery. And I did experience this, but it never got too hot to the touch, nothing like that. It was just kind of weird that this one part of the iPad is warmer than the rest of it. Now, Apple did release a statement saying this new iPad still operates within their normal heating guidelines. So I don't expect this would be a huge, massive problem, but more than likely, they'll probably fix this in the manufacturing process here soon. It's not that hot. And now let's go to move on to the camera. Starting with the front facing camera, it's nothing new there at all. Apple didn't update anything, even though they should. It still is just a VGA camera. But the rear facing camera did get an update. It is now a 5 megapixel camera that's capable of recording in 1080p HD video at 30 frames per second. It still does have tap to focus and also does have autofocus, and it does have face detection if you're going to be taking still pictures. And now it does have an aperture at f2.4, which will help in low light situations. So right now, let me go ahead and shut up and show you some pictures and some videos so you can go ahead and be a judge for yourself. As you can see, the cameras are definitely improved from the iPad 2, which a lot of people were requesting, and I did like the results of what I got from not only photos, but also the video. So now it's going to move on to the 4G LTE speed test. This new iPad does come in different variants. You can get a Wi-Fi only version. Also, you can get AT&T or Verizon version of this new tablet, and both of these do offer LTE capabilities to get really, really fast data speed. So right now, I'm about to show you some of the speed tests that I've got with the Verizon 4G LTE iPad. Now, I've gotten results of 20 up and 20 down in some cases, so the speeds are rock solid, and I do like that the Verizon version of this new iPad does allow you to do the mobile hotspot feature for free. AT&T doesn't even give you an option for that. So these new 4G LTE speeds are definitely welcome, but don't fret, if you're not in the 4G LTE era, you can still surf on the 3G networks of both these carriers. As far as software, it's really not that much new with it. You do have the ability now to do voice dictation.
This is a tale of Captain Jack Sparrow, period.
So meaning there's a little microphone on your keyboard, you press that and go ahead and talk. It'll go ahead and type that into the iMessage and the email. Nothing totally brand new with that. But I do like the new features to be able to do wireless 1080p AirPlay to one of the new 3rd generation Apple TVs. Meaning if I'm watching a 1080p video on my iPad, I can send that to my TV in my living room just by pressing a couple of buttons, and it still remains that same type of high quality as if you were watching it on your iPad. And so it's very close to Blu-ray, just not there yet, but it's still pretty impressive that I can still work on my iPad, surf the web, and do different things like that, and it's still pumping out that video to my TV set. Alright guys, I just showed you everything this new iPad can do, and now to my overall opinion. But there are a good amount of things that you can like about this new iPad. There are some things that could have been improved. The FaceTime camera should have been bumped up to at least 720p AC, just in my personal opinion. And also too, the lack of Siri, even though this hardware is capable of running it, is something that is just kind of weird and makes you scratch your head why they didn't put Siri in this new iPad. And also too, even though the heating issues aren't really a big deal that's going to affect your overall experience, that's something that could be improved and fixed in the future. And now don't knock Apple for not putting a quad-core processor in this new iPad, but it does make you wonder where this iPad could have been and what it could be doing with that extra horsepower, especially that we know its competition are going to be packing that in almost every tablet that comes out this year. Now, if you look at all the good things that this new iPad does, you will see that Apple did all the necessary fundamental updates to it. They improved the graphics performance, so you can be able to see already, you can see some games that are taking advantage of it. They look really amazing, and then you add that on this new Retina Display, which will make everything better, and you really won't notice a difference until you see the iPad 2 next to one of these brand new iPads, but it does make your overall experience better. And the cameras are improved, which the cameras are probably the worst part of the iPad 2. Now the cameras are something that you wouldn't be afraid of using, or at least showing off the quality. I know some people don't like to use tablets out in public, and then you also look at they maintain the same battery life, and then they added 4G LTE on 2 different carriers. You do have an option depending on where you live. Most tablets only offer one option for 4G. So and then you add all of that together, and they still keep the same price point. I think this is the necessary update that Apple did to only maintain the #1 standing. We'll see if that can last this entire year, but right now they just made the iPad 2 better, and that's only what you can really expect. But ultimately, I don't think we'll see the full potential of this new iPad being reached until iOS 6 is released later on this year. So overall, guys, I think that if you're in the market for a new tablet, this new iPad should definitely be at the top of your list. If you look at the entire experience, just not tech specs, but if you look at the entire experience with the hardware, the software, including the applications and the price point, you'll see this new iPad does maintain its #1 standing as far as tablets. So even if you own an iPad 2, if you're in the market for a new tablet, or if you can see some different things with this, it could be a worthwhile upgrade. Even though, again, just like any product out there, most people aren't going to need to get the new generation of a product just because they have the last version. So anyway, guys, this is my total review of the new iPad. Check out all my other videos covering the iPad on my YouTube channel if you haven't already. But before we head out of here, I'm going to take one last look at our sponsor for this video. And today's sponsor is Audible. Audible has over 100,000 audiobooks to choose from, and you can download these onto your MP3 player, your cell phone, your tablet, and listen to it while you're on the go, or if you're just chilling at home. It definitely is a different experience than reading a book to actually just listen to it. And they have different genres to choose from science fiction to thrillers and comedy, so you'll definitely be able to find some books that meet your interests. So if you go ahead and try out Audible right now, you can go to audiblepodcast.com/soldier. You can get a free audiobook download right now. Any book of your choice, you can get one free book. Again, go to audiblepodcast.com/soldier. Alright guys, again, thanks for watching this video. Please leave a comment down below about what you think about this new iPad. Is it for you? Is it not for you? Are you looking for something else coming out this year? Let me know down below in the comments. Again, thanks for watching, guys, and I will catch you later. Peace.